Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is your police ethics or your criminology 3. In here, we will be discussing some of the important terms in relation with ethics, and of course, we will be discussing also the police professional conduct and ethical standard, and we will be focusing our discussion most especially on the law enforcement code of ethics. Okay, let's start. We first define what is ethics. According to the book, ethics is the science of morality of human acts and rational human behavior. So, ethics simply means that it is the way or it is the science on how we determine what is right and what is wrong. That is what is ethics. Now, how about what is morals? Morals is simply the judgment we make relating things to societal principles of right and wrong behavior, meaning this is our own judgment. This is our own point of view from what is right and what is wrong. Remember yung kanina, uh, ethics, it is a societal or meaning it is general in nature. And okay, now what is the difference between the two, which is ethics and morals? Kasi sabi ng iba, it is the same. Why? Because it is, they are both point of view from what is right and what is wrong. But take note, there's a difference between the two words. When we say ethics, it is general in nature. It is a societal principle and it is a custom. Why? Pag sinabi natin kasing general in nature, it is a belief of a group of person. It is a societal principle because it is a principle within a group of person within the society, or it is a principle within a group of person within a community or an organization. It is a custom because it is a belief of a group of person. That's why it is general in nature. How about morals? It is specific in nature. Why? It is considered to be an individual principle and it is considered as character. Pag sinabi natin kasing character, uh, ito yung sarili mong katangian. Unlike sa ethics na it is a belief of a group of person or a group of specific professionals. Bakit siya individual principles? Sabi nga natin kanina, morals is our own belief or it is our own judgment of what is right and what is wrong. Meaning, ito yung sarili nating pananaw. That is the difference between ethics and morals. And according to other books, morals is simply the application of ethics. So, morals is the application of ethics. Upang mas lalo nating maintindihan, I'll give you a concrete example. And this example really happened. So, a group of law enforcement officers were conducting marijuana eradication at Bacon, Benguet. And they found out that one plantation of marijuana was located on a specific mountainous area. So yung ginawa nila is they try to uh, camp first. So nag-stay muna sila doon. Doon muna sila nag-stay at hindi muna nila ginalaw yung marijuana so that they will wait for the owner. Baka sakaling pumunta siya. So they set up their tents, their sleeping materials there. So yung nangyari, yung isang police officer is nagising siya. And narinig niya na may tila nagdidilig ng halaman. So, if you are familiar with the rainburst or yung sprinkler na ginagamit ng mga farmers, narinig niya yung tunog na yun. So, yung ginawa niya is pumunta siya. Pagkapunta niya is nakita niya yung may-ari ng plantation. So, he confronted the owner. But the owner immediately said, "Sir, pangaasim, anupay lang anak ko. Nabalod ni bakat ko gapo iti marijuana. Daytoy lang ti mabalin mi nga nabalin ko nga panggenang tapno lang makatakdar ko ti ubing ko." So, as a law enforcement officer, you have the duty to enforce the law. That is ethics. That is under the law enforcement code of ethics. Now, on the other side, you are considered to be a human. So, as a human, we have the ethics of humanity. So, naaawa ka doon sa tao, most especially sa kanyang mga anak. But you have to enforce the law because that's your duty. Ngayon, between the two ethics, saan doon yung gagawin mo? Will you enforce the law as the ethics of the law enforcement, or you let the farmer go as a part of humanity? Ngayon, kung ano yung gagawin mo doon, that is now what we call morals. Kasi nga sabi natin, ethics is the application of morals. On the application of morals, you will consider anything or everything. So, the police officer now decide to let the person go home or go. Anong ginawa niya? Sabi niya sa farmer, sige, tumaray ka garudan. He said that. So when the farmer or the planter of the marijuana ran, kunwari pinaputukan siya ng pulis so that yung situation na lalabas is tumakbo yung owner. That's why nagpaputok yung pulis para hindi naman makasuhan yung pulis. Kasi once na malaman ng kinauukulan na pinatakbo ng pulis, then he will be criminally liable of what? Maybe that will be one of equivalent to obstruction of justice. That is the difference between ethics and morals. So I hope that you understand now what is the difference between the two. Now, how about what is values? When we say values, it is, or these are principles or quality that is intrinsically desirable. And when we say intrinsically, meaning it is natural in nature, or it is natural in character, or in itself. Meaning, values from the very start is very desirable. Meaning, from the very start, it is good. It is, kumbaga, it is a high quality principle. Now, of course, we have here the 6 core moral values. First here is the love of God. Love of God, we give God what is due to Him, or we develop the moral virtue of religion through adoration, prayer, which includes obedience. Second, respect of authority, meaning we as a social being exercise intelligently obedience to whom? Of course, to the authority. For example, the government itself, and sa lahat ng tao na mas mataas sa atin. For example, our parents, elders, and others. Third here is the selfless love of people. Uh, Here we are giving oneself or our own self for the others, meaning we sacrifice our welfare for the welfare of the others. Fourth, chastity. Pag sinabi natin chastity, we respect the dignity of human sexuality, meaning we respect the sanctity of marriage, wherein, of course, marriage first before sex or before anything else. Fifth is responsible dominion over material things, meaning we know that materials here on the earth is scared or madali siyang maubos. So we know our responsible over it, and isa siguro dito is yung maging kontento tayo kung anong meron tayo. Hindi yung porket gusto natin yung isang bagay kahit wala naman tayong kakayahan na kunin siya. We try to we try everything so that makuha natin yung bagay. Yung bagay is hindi naman siya gaano ka-importante for for this is for this is for leisure only. For leisure only. For example, yung mga mamahaling phone sometimes na kahit hindi natin kayang bumili, nangungutang tayo so para lang makakuha nito. And then the last here is the truthfulness. Yung uh, person should I should never lie or never say things or information that is not true. That is truthfulness. It destroys the foundation of our social life if we lie. Of course, we have here also the six core work values. First here is industriousness. Pag sinabi natin industriousness, ito yung nag-i-strive yung isang tao para magtrabaho ng maayos. And second here is the sense of responsibility wherein uh, we are held accountable of our own action. Meaning alam natin na responsibilidad natin kung ano man yung maging result ng ating gagawin. For example, on the officership or on the government, if you are a public officer and nagkamali yung office mo, you must have the responsible with it. Hindi yung isisisi mo pa sa iba yung responsibilidad. Siya kasi yung nag-design, kaya ganito, kaya ganyan. Like that. Third, the order or the sense of time. Pag sinabi nating order or sense of time, uh, you are prioritizing the use of time, and we value time. Meaning, on every work, we must have the logical step or the logical sequence in doing the task or work. Hindi yung padalos-dalos tayo, nasasayang lang naman yung oras natin. Fourth, collaboration. Ito yung mostly na wala sa atin. We tend to work individually. Yung porkit kayang-kaya natin is, hindi, ako na, kaya ko na to. Yung trabaho naman is group work. So, porkit matalino ka, porkit medyo meron kang skills doon sa work, sabi mo, sige, babayan na kahit ako na. Yan yung mostly na kami din natin. So, nawawala yung teamwork or yung collaboration. Collaboration kasi is important in fostering teamwork and solidarity for a unit. Fifth, we have here the determination. So, determination meaning whatever the circumstances are na dumating sa ating work or na dumating sa ating ginagawa, we try our best to do it. Kahit nahihirapan tayo, kahit na-stress tayo, we try to do it. For example, on your module, we know na nahihirapan kayo in answering and doing some of the activities. But yung mostly sa inyo is nakakapag-comply sila. Why? Dahil dito, dahil sa determination. They have the determination to continue the educational system despite of this pandemic. Number six is of course this service. Service means we are performing duties or work for another, meaning we are doing the work not for us. We are doing the work not for our own self but for others. For example, the police service itself. Do you think police are doing their job for themselves? Maybe that's one part of their job as a police, but the first thing there is their service. Yung they do the work, they do the task for the community, for the social order of the community. Next, why do we study ethics? Why do we study ethics? Bakit nga ba? First here is it helps in our decision. Second, to have orderly social life. And third is to value life. Pag sinabi nating decision, what does ethics can do with our decision? Of course, it influences our decision. Through ethics, we know kung ano yung dapat natin gawin in terms of one thing or ano yung dapat natin gawin pag dumating tayo sa isang situation. For example, yung na-example ko kanina na would I arrest this person or I would let him go. So based on ethics, on your in your study on ethics, you can now come up with your own rational decision. Second here is yung of course yung to have an orderly social life. Do you think without ethics, ano kaya yung buhay natin ngayon? Do we have organized social life? Do we have orderly social life? No. Because kung ating ititrace yung ating pinagmulan, kung saan sa mga kauna-unahang panahon nung wala pang ganito, wala pang study of ethics, ano yung nagiging routine nila? They have the law of the jungle, meaning they will do everything without thinking kung ano yung mangyayari sa iba, sa kapaligiran, of course, dahil hindi nila alam kung ano yung dapat at hindi dapat. Hindi nilang alam kung ano yung tama at mali. That is why ethics is very important to us. Third, to value life. Tulad nung nasabi ko kanina, on the early times or on the early age, they have the law of survival. So, they have the principle of the survival of the fittest. So meaning, I don't care kung sinong mamatay, I don't care kung sinong masagasahan. The important thing here is mabuhay ako. Yun yung hindi nila nakikita kung ano yung value ng life. Hindi nila nakikita kung bakit tayo nabubuhay. Hindi nila nakikita kung Ano ba talaga ang kahulugan ng buhay sa isang tao? That is why there is what we call study of ethics. And of course, we have here the significance of ethics and values in works. Ito naman is for police works. First here is the immense power of the police. Pag sinabi natin immense power of the police, the word immense here means it is great, meaning the power of the police is very intense or very great. So without ethics, or without ethical perspective, police becomes tyrant. Anong meaning nun? Without ethics, kung hindi mo alam yung ethics, you as a police officer, you will performing your duty using anything without thinking kung ano yung magiging result. Ngayon, yung mangyayari dito is you will use force everything, you will abuse your authority, you will misuse your judgment as a police officer kung wala kang ethics. That's the very importance of ethics in the police powers. Second here is the social contract. The social contract was based on the idea or on the statement of the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, which says that the police officer must display high standard of ethical behavior than that of average citizen. So, anong meaning nito? In other word, or in other words, the public expect the highest level of integrity to the police officer in terms of obeying the rules, the laws of the society. Meaning, we as a, of course, we as a police officer, you must have higher standards in terms of obeying the law and other rules and regulation within the society. Bakit? First of all, you're a law enforcer. How can you enforce the law if you yourself do not know how to obey the law? Diba? For example, ano sa tingin nyo yung iisipin ng tao if you as a traffic enforcer, you are nagsisita ka sa mga taong naka-illegal park, but you yourself, yung sasakyan mo, pinarada mo sa no parking. Anong sasabihin ng tao? Once you enforce the law, anong sasabihin nila sa'yo? Oo, si kantupay nga public, si kantupay nga pulis, nagparada ka dito. Diba? That's how our community react on that specific issue. So, as a police officer, you must have to always have the highest standard in obeying the law. Third here is the police as role model. According to August Vollmer, who is recognized as the father of police professionalism, a police officer, in order to become a good police officer, he must possess all the necessary characteristics to be a good policeman. So ngayon, ang tanong, ano yung tinutukoy ni August Vollmer na characteristics na dapat magkaroon ang isang police? So here are the characteristics that a police officer must possess in order to become a good police officer. First here is the wisdom of Solomon. No ije term daw kuma kinasirip ni Solomon. And pag natatandaan ninyo yung kung paano nakilala si King Solomon doon sa Bible, yung isang kwento kung saan inutos niya na hatiin yung bata para lang malaman yung kung sino yung tunay na ina ng bata. Because King Solomon na kung ikaw yung tunay na nanay, of course you will care or you will always uh, doing whatever will be the welfare of the child. So yung ginawa niya is he ordered to have uh, the baby in order to determine the mother of the child. And do you think King Solomon really wants to uh, have that baby? No. He will only do that one in order to determine kung sino sa dalawang babae yung may malasakit para sa bata. So ngayon, yung isang ina, sabi niya, yes, sige, hatiin niyo para pantay. Yun yung kanyang sabi. But the other woman says, no, don't have the child. Give it to her. Yun yung decision ng isang ina. So, doon pa lang nalaman ni King Solomon kung sino yung nanay ng bata. Second, the courage of David. So you are reading the Bible, or when you are children, you are attending Sunday schools and others, or you are attending mass, you know the story of David. So kung tutuusin, he is pastol lamang. Pastol lamang po si David, hindi siya mandirigma. And yung kanyang kinalaban is a Philistine soldier. And take note, hindi lang siya ordinaryong sundalo, but he is considered as giant. Malaki po siya kumpara mo kay David na maliit. Pero what do you think? Why David have his courage? So courage means it is facing someone without any question, without thinking the situation. You are facing the problems na hindi mo iniisip kung gaano kalaki yung isang problema. Ganun yung courage. Meaning, you are confident of your own self. But here, David is confident because he know that God will not, of course, hindi niya siya pababayaan ng Panginoon. So that's why David is courage. Next here is the strength of Samson. Yeah, on the Bible itself, on the Bible again, you know the story of Samson. He is the strongest man who ever lived on earth. Fourth here is the patience of Job. Pag nagbabasa kayo ng Bible, you know the story of Job. And what is his story? So, Job is blessed by our God. So, anong nangyari? He is very successful. Marami siyang topa, marami siyang ari-arian sa mundo. But now, they try to challenge him para malaman kung gaano siya ka-faithful sa Panginoon. So, anong ginawa nila? Anong ginawa ni Satan? He tried to remove everything from Job, including his family, his wealth, his health, everything. Pero anong ginawa ni Job? Nagre-riba isuna? Did he complain to God? No. That's how patient Job is. So, kung lahat sanang ng police officer is ganito sila ka-patient, then there will be no problem in our Philippine National Police. Kung yung character sana ng isang police ganito, wala tayong problema sa Philippine National Police. Fifth here is the leadership of Moses. Bakit ginamit dito yung leadership of Moses? Can you still remember the story when Moses led the Israelites from Egypt to Canaan? Do you think madali yung way nila from Egypt to Canaan? No. During that time, Moses was a leader. He is leading yung mga tao na mahilig mag-complain. Nagli-lead siya ng mga taong puro yung ginagawa is puro nagko-compare. Can you still remember nung meron sila sa desert, anong ginawa nila? Buti pa sa Egypt, nakakakain kami ng ganito. Buti pa sa Egypt, meron kaming kinakain na karne, meron kaming kinakain na sibuyas, and everything. Pero dito, iisa lang yung kinakain namin, yung mana. But Moses have this kind of leadership, so he was able to lead the Israel out of Egypt. Yun nga lang, hindi sila nakarating sa Kanaan. That's the leadership. That's the kind of leadership that a police officer must have. So, despite of your members na medyo pasaway, you as a leader, you can successfully lead them. Number 6, the faith of Daniel. Daniel, siya yung tinapon sa bangin or siya yung tinapon sa well na meron andun yung lion. Pero do you think natakot siya? No, because he believed that God will not abandon him. So anong ginawa niya? He just prayed. Ganun. He just prayed to God na, God, give me the protection. God, I know your plans for me. So as a police officer, dapat meron tayong ganito. So we try not to remove our relationship to God on our own duty. So pag meron tayo nito, we are not afraid of everything. We are not afraid of anything. That is the faith of Daniel. 7 is the diplomacy of Lincoln. Lincoln is a former president of the United States. So he is the father of diplomacy of the United States. Number 8 is the tolerance of the carpenter of Nazareth. So yung tinutukoy dito ang carpenter of Nazareth is Jesus Christ himself. So we know Jesus Christ. We know him. We know him very much. And alam natin kung gaano siya katolerant. The ninth here is the kindness of Good Samaritan. I'm sure na alam ninyo yung story ng Good Samaritan. The question is, ano kaya ang rason kung bakit ko ginawa ito? Siguro it is only for entertainment purposes or para patalastas lamang, but I have the ground or I have the evidence on bakit ko nasabing ang isang police Cordillera katumbas niya is yung Marine Corps Epoxy. So we will find out the answer later. Now let's go to the vicious cycle. Pag sinabi nating vicious class, ang ibig sabihin niyan is dangerous. Or sa mga mahilig sa ML, yung word na savage. And another term, it is fierce. So, by the word itself, pag sinabi nating vicious cycle, it is a negative event that it keep on occurring or it occur repeatedly. And take note, it is violent. It is a violent event or it is a brutal or dangerous negative series of event that happens repetitively. So let's know kung ano yung vicious cycle. So the first type of vicious cycle here is the police stress. Police officers are expected to risk their life every day to protect the citizen who mostly often do not appreciate them. So pag sinabi nating police stress, ito yung unpleasant feeling of a police officer due to his job as a police officer. For example, one very common uh, police stress that is the police trauma syndrome. Ano itong police trauma syndrome? This is developed after a catastrophic event that affect a police officer physically and emotionally and mentally and behaviorally. So, once na isang police is nakakita siya ng catastrophic event, for example, sa bakbakan, for example, uh, nag-rescue sila and pagka-rescue nila, nakita niya na maraming namatay. So, anong nangyari? He experienced yung trauma. Nag, nagkaroon siya ng trauma. Bakit? Dahil sa nakita niya. Dahil sa naranasan niya. So, that is police trauma syndrome. One best example here is the case of Police Officer Mendoza. Pag natatandaan nyo yung police officer na bumaril ng I think that's two-person at the Midtown Bar. According to the story, Police Officer Mendoza, kagagaling niya lang sa isang operation. So, nung pumunta sila sa Midtown Bar, yung tingin niya doon sa mga tao binaril niya is kalaban. The problem is, nung nanggaling sila sa operation, wala silang stress debriefing. So, yun yung nangyari. Yung akala niya, andun pa siya sa gera. So, ganon ka-importante ang isang stress debriefing sa isang police officer na nagkakaroon ng ganito, ng trauma in terms of catastrophic event. Second vicious cycle is the public perception, meaning the unethical accusation of the community towards the police. Do you think if you are a police officer, you are happy or you are glad na maririnig mo sa tao na, ish, data mo na nagiging police ka, boya. Like that? No. In the present day, policeman is much feared, vilified, mistrusted, often the butt of negative criticism, cruel jokes, and of course ridicule. Kaya ngayong that's the purpose of the PCR. Para Para i-improve yung image ng Philippine National Police. Kasi ngayong kilala nila sa police, yung pagkakakilala ng community sa police is negative. Dapat nga time nga usaran dapat nga pangbutbutang ti ubing. Ay police. Sasangkit ka. Tumala ka tata dati police. Kahit mo ta agayabak ti police. Those terms pa lang, that is public perception. Ano nangyari pag lumaki yung bata? He will think that policemen must be feared or yung mga policemen is nakakatakot. That is example of public perception. Now, let's go to the question, what makes a police officer? According to James Q. Wilson, he said that it is not the money or the organization that defines the police officer. It is the job that defines the policeman. Meaning, hindi ka pulis, hindi ka natawag na pulis dahil you are a member of the Philippine National Police. Hindi ka natawag na pulis kasi sumasahod ka ng approximately 28,000 a month. No, you are called police because of your job. You are called police because of your service. Take note that being a policeman, entering the PNP, simply you want to serve the community or you want to serve our country itself. That's what makes a police officer. Next, we have here the five characteristics of a police officer's job. First, number one, we have here the uniform. Pag sinabi natin uniform, this clearly identifies the identity of a police officer. So, for example, during a crime, di ba? So, yung mga tao, oh, day, ta police, apan yaban. They can easily identify a police officer because of his uniform. Ibig sabihin, the uniform itself is considered as the identity of a police officer, as a police. That's how important the police uniform is. Second, the power. Take note that uniform police officer is a walking symbol of government power. And police officer or the Philippine National Police is considered as the arm of the government in terms of law enforcement. So they symbolize the government. So ano man yung gagawin nila, it implies with the government or it go back to the government. So pag maganda yung ginagawa ng police officer, then they will appreciate the government. The community will appreciate the government. So pero pag hindi naman maganda yung pinapakita ng police, they will criticize the government. Why? Yun nga, yung nasabi natin kanina na police is a walking symbol of the government power. So whatever it takes, whatever the result is, it goes back to the government. Next. Third here is the working hours. Police officer works in a rotating shift. Meaning, wala silang permanent na shift. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, most of the police officer, pwedeng night shift sila ngayon, by next week or next month, magiging morning shift sila. So, that's the working hours of the police officer. Hindi katulad ng ibang trabaho na pag ganito yung shift mo, then ganoon na lang. Hanggang sa matapos yung kontrata mo. No, sa police officer, it is flexible. Pag may nag-absent na isa, pwede kang hatakin agad-agad. That's the working hours of the police. So kahit man naka-leave ka, kung tinawagan ka ng boss dahil merong importanteng lakad, you must be there. Next, the danger. Take note that police officer must be always vigilant and ready because they never know when that big call will come. Pag sinabi nating big call, ito yung tinutukoy ko kanina na baka merong biglaang lakad, merong operation, merong emergency. So as a police officer, it is very important that he must be always ready. And pag sinabi natin kasing danger, that's the very nature of a police officer. Kaya masabi nila, meron silang kasabihan, if you enter the Philippine National Police, is nakabaon na sa lupa ang isa mong paa. Yes, it's true because there are so many danger or many risk when you enter the Philippine National Police. So, as a police officer, ngayon, you must have that survival skills or you must have that knowledge and skills in order to survive such a situation. Ilan lang sa mga example ng big calls na to is yung danger na to is during operation. Di ba you don't know what will happen when you will respond to a crime. Hindi mo alam kung anong naghihintay sa'yo doon. That is danger. And pag sinabi natin kasing danger, hindi lang ito tumutukoy sa danger na mangyari sa police itself. Nakadagdag na rin dito yung danger sa kanyang family. Bakit? When a police officer catch a criminal, maaring mayroon yung tinatawag natin na revenge. And pag hindi niya kaya maka-revenge sa police officer, meron yung mga criminals or meron yung mga criminals, yung mga offenders na they will ibabaling nila yung revenge nila doon sa family member ng police officer. That's how dangerous police work is. The last here is the dirty work. And pag sinabi natin dirty work, it is literally a dirty work. Meaning, police officers' job, they are dealing with dead bodies, they are dealing with the accidents, yung crimes, most especially yung mga heinous crimes, yung mga karumal-dumal na krimen. So that's why police work is considered as dirty work. Okay, ito yung continuation ng patalastas natin kanina.
Ay sintigas ng bakal, sintibay ng bato, sintatag ng isang blokeng semento. Patutunayan ko sa inyo. Hup! Yan ang tibay at lakas ng Cord Marine Epoxy.
And
Kaya ako
mamaya,
nagtitiwala sa orihinal.
malalaman natin kung
Dito na
bakit
tayo
siya
sa Cord Marine Epoxy.
katumbas ng Cordillera Police. So, watch out kung ano ba yung dahilan kung bakit ko sinabi na ang Cord Marine Epoxy is equal or equivalent to a Cordillera police officer. So, we'll go now to the strength of the Filipino police officer. First here is the spiritual beliefs. So, accordingly, being spiritual in nature, that is natural to us Filipino, because we bravely or we are confident that we have the divine providence that will grant our protection and safety. And pag sinabi natin divine providence, it refers to God itself. It refers to our God itself. It refers to our Creator itself. And we recognize Him as the supreme authority. Siya yung pinakamataas na authority. Second here is the word valor. Pag sinabi natin valor, police officers are sacrificing their limbs or their lives for the sake of the countrymen. So, kaya nga, yung pinakamataas na medal sa Philippine National Police is the Medal of Valor. And hindi lang simple-simpleng naibibigay itong Medal of Valor. Bakit? Marami siyang requirements. And pag sinabi natin kasing valor, police officer, as a police officer, they are ready to die. They are ready to die for the welfare of the community, or they are ready to die for the sake of our country. So, yan yung common sa ating mga Filipino. So, okay lang na okay lang sa kanila na mamatay basta importante they are on duty. Or meaning they are performing their duty. So, tulad ng nasabi kanina, the highest medal on the Philippine National Police is the Medal of Valor or sa Tagalog ito yung medalya ng kagitingan. And on the entire history of the Philippines, the first uh, the first person or the first officer, I think this is Army, who received the Medal of Valor is no other than General Paulino Santos. He received the Medal of Valor by the year 1935. And in the history of Cordillera, the first Igorot uh, person or the Igorot officer who received this Medal of Valor is Second Lieutenant Herbert Dilag. So, pero siya, army ulit siya. And of course, our youngest who received the Medal of Valor is no other than Private First Class Ian Paquet. He received the award by the age of 21 years old. Mostly sa kanila is Army. And yung pinaka-latest at na awardee ng Medal of Failures within the PNP is, I think that is the uh, PNP SAF 44 or the SAF 44, yung sa Maguindanao Massacre. I said massacre kasi basta it's massacre for that's massacre for me. It's not an misencounter, it's massacre. Third, we have the patriotism. This is manifest by the love of our own country, and we pledge the allegiance to our own flag and to its constitution that we will defend it. So we are patriotic in nature. We love our country very much. That's why we want to serve our country and how to show our love to our country. Yeah, the service to the people, service to our government, service to our country itself. That is patriotism. To defend our country itself. That is patriotism. Fourth is the discipline. It is manifest by instinctive obedience to lawful orders. Take note, lawful orders. Fifth, being courteous. Courteous meaning the police officer must upright in character. They are gentle in nature. They have gentle manners. They are dignified. They have dignified appearance, and they have the sincere in concern to our to to our fellow men or to our countrymen. So meaning as a police officer, you must show upright character towards the community. You must show concern toward the community. You must show that you as a police officer is dignified. Number six here is the word of honor. Pag sinabi nating word of honor, ito yung sa police officer, you must do whatever you say. You must do whatever you promise. Diba? No term daw ko uh, dapat malalaki ka on the on our local term. Dapat takderam no natin bagang. Diba? So, you as a police officer, no dati in bagam, no dati in promise mo ti may isang tao, ti may isang community, you must have to prove or you must have to do it. Next, duty. Yan. Pag sinabi natin duty, it is something related or synonymous to the word service. Yung we are dedicated our life, we are dedicated public servant who perform tasks in the deep sense of responsibility and self-sacrifice. That is duty. Next, loyalty. Pag sinabi nating loyalty naman, it is being loyal to whom? Take note, loyalty to whom? Dapat tama kung nasa tamang tao or nasa tamang ah, organization or nasa tamang country yung loyalty natin. Take note, loyal to the organization, to the Philippine National Police itself, to our country, of course, the Philippines, and of course, to the people the who is the Filipino people. The last here is camaraderie, which is defined as the binding spirit that enhances teamwork and cooperation within the police organization. Pag sinabi natin kasing camaraderie, are police officer have their deep commitment and concern to one another. Meaning, they care for each other. Meron silang tinatawag natin na brotherhood. So, pag meron nangyari sa isa, yung isa always meron para umalalay sa kanya. Yung isa, uh, he is always ready to lend a hand towards the other. Ganyan katibay or ganyan yung commitment ng camaraderie. And take note, hindi lang simpleng commitment yan. Sa sa ibang libro, yung sabi dyan, camaraderie is a deep, ibig sabihin malalim na commitment ng isang police towards the other police officer. Now, let's go to the weakness of Filipino police officer. Kung yung sa kanina, we are tackling on the strength of the police officer, kung ano yung maganda sa police officer, kung ano yung kalakasan ng isang police officer. Now, let's try to discuss naman kung ano yung mga kahinaan or yung weakness ng Filipino police officer. First here is the misplaced loyalty. Sabi natin kanina, yung isa sa strength of police officer is loyalty. Pero bakit siya naging weakness? Take note, misplaced, meaning yung loyalty nila is napupunta sa iba. Sometimes, yung mga police officer natin na promote or they enter the PNP because of yung mga palakasan system, because of dahil kay general, dahil kay mayor, dahil kay governor. Ang magiging problema dyan, yung loyalty nila is pupunta doon sa tao na tumulong sa kanila na pumasok as police officer. So kahit nagpa-violate si mayor, kung siya yung nagpasok sa isang police officer, yung police officer na yun is magtatanaw ng utang na loob kung sino man yung nagpasok sa kanya. So he will now tolerate kung ano yung gagawin ng isang yung taong nagpasok sa kanya. For example, ngayon sabi natin na si mayor nag-commit ng crime, and then yung isang PO2 na pinasok niya, nakita niya, sabi niya, ay, ito man yung tumulong sa akin, so kahit wag na lang. Yung loyalty nila is wala na sa organization. Yung loyalty nila is wala sa country. Nasaan? Andun sa person who helped him enter the PNP. That is misplaced loyalty. Another example here is dahil sa band na na-create doon sa organization, or yung dahil doon sa relationship doon sa loob ng Philippine National Police, they became loyal with each other. So, pag nag-commit yung isang kasama nila, they try to cover their mouth, they try to cover their eyes. Bakit? Meron yung bond na create between them. Second, cynicism. Take note that sometimes, because of the experience that they acquire as law enforcers, police view all citizens as, or they view the citizen with suspicion. So meaning, kaputa, laro tinadal ko, mas ado to experience kuno sik. They have that idea. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, marami pa rin sa mga Philippine National Police ang de ko na tayo mga nakastub, de ko na tayo mga dakal ti ulo na. Bakit? Because of their experience, ti amuda or ti adai panunod da amuda ni ti amin. Ti amuda amin nga tao could possible can create possible problems. That is cynicism. Third, we have the use of force. Use of force simply means brutality, oppression. Yung gumagamit ka ng force para makuha mo yung justice. Gumagamit ka ng force para makuha mo yung gusto mo. For example, in obtaining information, you are using force para magsalita yung isang tao. That is use of force. It is oppression. It is police brutality. Take note that use of force is only considered to be a last resort for the police officer. And take note that force that I'm talking here is lawful or it is a reasonable force. Fourth, police as victim mentality. Based on the concept that police officers are victim of public misunderstanding. Tulad nung nasabi ko kanina na, di ba, as a police officer, it's nakaka-low moral yung sinasabi ng police ng public, I should say, na nagita dyan police nga buhaya, no makikita na ka, nagita dyan police nga babaero, nagita dyan police nga agpaharo di traffic. Di ba? As a law enforcement, that will let you down or that will lower in your morale. Most especially if you are a police officer na ginagawa mo yung lahat para lang ma-serve yung community, you are doing nothing but only service, pure service. Nakakasakit sa damdamin yun. Of course, because yan nga, that is public perception. Mistake public perception. The fifth here is police as untouchables. Contempt of person uniform cannot be ignored. Meaning, yung police officer, if you are rendering your duty, pag merong civilian, di balita muna ti aramidon na. So pag dumating yung police, payan nyo, di balita mo dagitan ti aramidon na. Payan nyo ta dati police. They always say that because they expect that police officers are untouchable. They expect that police officers knows everything. Yun yung isang aspect ng police as untouchables. The other naman here is the police itself says that tuman na kayo ta amok ti amin. Tuman na kayo ta shock ti gusto. Tuman na kayo ta kastoy ti kastana. That aspect is one of the weakness of police officers. Number 6 here is, of course, the reward. Pag dinefend kasi natin yung rewards, ito yung binibigay ng community or ng civilian to a police officer in exchange of service such as free meals, to yung mga money, or yung free ride sa public utility vehicle, ganun yung mga rewards. Pero bakit kaya naging weakness ng Filipino police officers ito? Because sometimes that rewards became a factor in their decision as law enforcers. For example, dati may isang uh, negosyante. He always deliver food, snacks, and other things to the police department, to a specific police department. He even donate uh, some of the gadgets used by the police officers. Now, when that person commits a crime, yung kanyang binigay at dinonate, maaring maging factory yun in terms of enforcing the law. But basically, a police officer can take a reward, but do not take a reward that would affect their decision or that would affect their job as a police officer. For example, yung nasabi ko kanina, di ba? Sometimes, yung kahit ganun, nasabi natin na, oh, di balita, siguro, but hindi natin namamalayan sometimes na nagkikreate siya ng factor on our future decision. Next, due process. Bakit siya naging weakness ng police officer? Take note, due process. Pag sinabi nating due process, simply means, due process simply means protect the suspect. Or I should say, you must be careful of your steps on dealing with the accused or the crime or the suspect. Kasi once na nagkamali ka dyan, meron kang konting mistakes sa due process na yan, maaari kang mabaliktad. You can be charged administratively and criminally. That's why due process becomes a weakness of the Philippine National Police. Number 8 is lying and deception. Ito yung common sa mga sa Philippine National Police natin. Most especially during court testimony or during making report. Diba? So they try to fabricate some information to strengthen their report or to strengthen their uh, uh, their testimony. Or sometimes yung iba, ginagawa lang nila yon para daw sa reward. Pag natatandaan nyo yung sinabi ni General, I think that's General Albayalde, when he said that during the questioning of the Pampanga Agaw Batu scheme, yung sinabi niya nung tinanong siya ng Senate nung trial or yung hearing na kung bakit ganun yung report nila, bakit medyo mali-mali, sabi ni General Albayalde for reward purposes. So, anong reaction ni retired General Magalong? So, ibig sabihin yung reward ng mga to is basta-basta lang, like that, or yung mga reward ng mga to is parang simply it's speaking or it's not genuine itself. That is lying, deception. Now, before we will proceed, let's first watch a video clip. This is the hymn of the Philippine National Police. Let's try to listen kung ano yung related or kung ano yung nilalaman ng Philippine National Police hymn. The very reason why I let you watch the Philippine National Police him is we are about to discuss the professional conduct and police ethical standards, which is adapted from the Manual of the Philippine National Police for Ethical Doctrines and some of the provision of Republic Act 6713, or known as the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standard for Public Officials and Employees. So first, we have first here the definition of terms. First, neglect of duty or nonfeasance, meaning it is the failure to perform the act which one is obligated to do either by law or directive due to omission or failure to recognize the obligation. Meaning you did not perform your job or you did not perform your duty as a police officer. That is neglect of duty. Ibig sabihin wala kang ginawa, hindi mo pinerform yung duty mo. That is neglect of duty. Next, the irregularities in the performance of duty or the misfeasance, the improper performance of some act which might be lawfully have done. Ito naman yung, yes, you have render your duty, you have do your work or you have do your part as a police officer, but the thing here is there is some irregularities or there is some mistake or it is improperly done or you done it improperly or meron siyang konting pagkakamali doon sa pinerform mo. For example, it is your job as a police officer to arrest offender. Yes, it's your duty and you fulfill that duty. You arrest the offender. The problem is the way you arrest the suspect is mali. For example, yung pagposas mo ng kamay is mahigpit. That is now considered as irregularities in the performance of duty. Ginawa mo yung part mo, the only thing is meron lang mistake. Unlike doon sa nauna kanina na nonfeasance na talagang hindi mo ginawa yung work mo or pinabayaan mo yung work mo. That's the difference between the two. Second here is the malfeasance. It is the intentional commission of a prohibited act or intentional unjust performance of some act of which the party had no right. Pag sinabi naman nating malfeasance, ito yung kumbaga sa law, ito yung tinatawag natin na malignancy or it is wrong in itself. Meaning, sa loob ng PNP, talagang mali yan. Pero ang problema ginawa mo, for example, smoking inside the office. It is mali. It is prohibited. Pero ginawa mo siya. Corruption itself. It is prohibited act of the Philippine National Police. Pero anong nangyari? Ginawa mo siya. That is considered as malfeasance. Next, misconduct. Pag sinabi nating misconduct, it is a wrongdoing of violation of a departmental procedure. Ito yung nag-breach ka doon sa departmental procedure. Ngayon, what's the difference between misconduct and offense? Pag sinabi nating misconduct, ito, departmental procedures lang yung violate mo. Pero pag law na yung na-violate mo, hindi na yung misconduct. That is considered as offense or a criminal itself. Number 5, incompetence. Pag sinabi natin incompetence, it is the manifestation of lack of adequate ability and fitness for the satisfactory performance of police duty. Meaning, wala kang kakayahan to cope up or to do your job as a police officer. Meaning, you are ineffective police officer. You are inefficient police officer. For example, medyo hindi mo na alam yung mga laws, wala kang knowledge sa law. So how can you perform your duty? Wala kang enough knowledge to perform your duty as a law enforcer. Another example is your body is weak. So hindi ka makasabay doon sa requirement ng duty as a police officer na endurance. That is incompetence. So you must have to be productive, or you must have uh, the ability or the fitness or the skills to perform your duty as a police officer. That is incompetence. Next, we have here oppression. Oppression is synonymous to the word cruelty or brutality. It is an unlawful execution, or it is the excessive use of authority. It is the abuse of authority. Yung pinerform mo yung job mo but it is over, or it is above the normal. Next, dishonesty. Alam na natin to. Pag sinabi natin dishonesty, it is simply the concealment or distortion of truth. Meaning, yung tinago mo yung katotohanan, or binago mo yung katotohanan. That is dishonesty. You try to lie, or you try to say fabricated facts or fabricated words. That is dishonesty. Next, disloyalty to the government. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina na one of the weakness of the Filipino police officer, which our loyalty is misplaced. Dapat we are loyal to our government itself. Pero anong nangyari, doon sa tao mismo ka naging loyal. Doon sa mga uh, tawag natin dito, doon sa ibang tao, or simply you are advocating, or you are joining to the person or to the people who wants to overthrow the government or our republic itself. That is disloyalty. Next, violation of law. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na it is an offense. Ito yung pag if a person is convicted of, or a police officer is convicted of any crime or offense under the RPC, and that is violation of law. Yung sa kanina, yung misconduct, it is violation or breach of the departmental procedure. Ngayon, yung violation of law, crime or offense penalized under the law. For example, the revised penal code, or the special law, or some other ordinance. So yung corruption, hindi siya maibibilang na misconduct kasi violation of law na yan. It is a special law. Diba? So, it is considered to be violation of law. Unlike yung misconduct, for example, is natulog ka sa duty, that is departmental procedure. Number 10, corruption. Pag sinabi natin corruption, it is an act involving misuse of your office for gain. Meaning, ginamit mo yung office mo para lang kumita, or ginamit mo yung office mo para makakuha ng gain. Ginamit mo yung power mo or yung duty mo as a police officer to have something. It's either money, commodities, and others. Pag sinabi natin kasing corruption, hindi lang tumutukoy yan sa pera. It may comes in other forms. For example, protection. For example, sasakyan. For example, babae. And others. Now, there are many types of corruption. First here is case fixing. Ano tong case fixing? Pag sinabi natin case fixing, you are trying to sabotage the investigation. Meaning, mangtod ka ti ko tapno sukatak daytoy information. Mangtod ka ti kwarta tapno sukatak daytoy facts ti case nga i-file ko. That is case fixing. Tapno ibabak or tapno baliwak daytoy report ko. That is case fiction. Fixing. Bribery. Pag sinabi nating bribery, it is the receipt of cash or gift in exchange for past or future assistance in avoidance of prosecution or on other specific services. Meaning, humingi ka ng cash or humingi ka ng gift para when the time comes, pag nag-violate yung isang tao, he will spare him. Or nag-receive ka ng gift or cash or anything else in exchange para doon sa ginawa mo sa kanya before. That is bribery. Extortion. Pag sinabi naman natin extortion, it is a force or intimidation kung saan a police officer try to demand something from a person. For example, during the enforcement of traffic violation, yung ginawa ng police officer, ang tikas to itapno hangkan nga tikitan. Just like that, he is forcing the person, he is treating the person so that uh, he will not be given such ticket. Next, protection. Protection, ito naman yung binibigay ng isang tao or isang company to a police officer para ma-protect yung kanilang business, for example, or para ma-protect yung kanilang activities, for example, doon sa isang drug syndicate. Anong ginagawa nila para if in case mahuli sila, madali silang makalabas or para hindi may apply sa kanila yung law, nagbibigay sila ng protection money. Ibig sabihin, sila mismo yung nagbibigay ng money sa police. Unlike doon sa extortion kanina na yung police mismo yung nag-force or nagdi-demand sa money. Sa protection, it is mutual. Kumbaga, it is given by the person or the company itself. Mostly na nangyayari ito sa mga illegal businesses or mostly sa mga business na maraming violation. Next here is recycling. Ito yung common naman sa mga nangyayari sa mga most especially drugs, yung mga nakuha drugs, nahuling drugs, yung ginagawa nila mostly yung iba binabawasan nila yung evidence. For example, nakahuli sila ng drug addict during the raid and meron silang nakuha 2 kilos of shabu. Yung i-declare nila sa report is only 0.5 kilos. So saan pumunta yung isa't kalahati? Ni-recycle nila, bininta nila ulit para magkapera. Yun. And if you are familiar of the Pampanga Agaw Batu scheme, which nag-viral last year, yung nakandak sa Senate kung saan nadawit si General Albayalde. That is an example of recycling. Next, selective enforcement. Pag sinabi nating selective enforcement, ito yung nagbibigay sila ng pera or anumang gift for the release of the suspect. Selective enforcement occurs when a police officer exploits their officer's discretion, meaning they can uh, they can conduct the term arreglo, meaning nagbayad ka ta paluwasan si ka, just like that. That is selective enforcement, yung namimili ka kung uh, saan mo i-enforce yung law. That is selective enforcement. The last one here is the internal payoffs. Ito mostly nangyari to sa loob mismo ng PNP. Pag sinabi natin kasing internal payoffs, ito yung binabayaran mo yung isang tao within, or I should say binabayaran mo yung isang member mismo ng police officer, yung kapwa mo police officer. For example, pag leave mo, yung leave niya sana is bibilhin mo yung leave niya. So, imbis na siya yung mag-leave, ikaw na yung mag-leave. Meron nangyaring ganun. Binibenta nila yung leave nila sa other police officers. So, pag mas kailangan mo ng day off, so bumili ka na lang ng leave, parang ganun. Kasi baka kulang mo yung bakasyon mo, so you can buy leave from the other police officer. Another here is yung pagbili ng promotions or yung awards. Take note, hindi lahat ng awards or promotion is deserved. No, some of them dahil sa pera. That is very common sometimes on the police officers. Yung pagpasok mismo ng mga applicant, sometimes meron kami naririnig na kwento na agsagana kayo kano tikas tuwing kwarta tapno sigurado nga makasar kayo. Just like that during the recruitment. And that is internal payoffs. Next, next word here is favoritism. Pag sinabi nating favoritism class, it is giving favor, or it is the unfair breaks to friends or relatives. Pag sinabi kasi nating unfair uh, break to friends or relatives, yung merong pinapakuran in terms of enforcing the law or in terms of police service. So mas ununam lagi jay friends mo or mas ununam jay pamilya because uh, they are near to you. So meaning uh, friends first or family first before the others. Just like ganon. Nung nag-commit na iti crime no kas pagarigan nag-apaday uh, barakadam tapos jay may isa nga civilian, mas paboram day side ti barakadam. That is favoritism. Next here is the rotten apples. Pag sinabi natin kasing rotten apples, these are weak individuals within the PNP na nagkukumit ng crime. So mostly sa mga ito, sila yung mga nakalusot sa process during the recruitment. So uh, sila yung gumagawa ng I should say misconduct or crime sa loob ng PNP. Sila yung nagdudungis sa pangalan ng PNP. And take note, rotten apples is a theory. Ibig sabihin nito, pag nilagay mo yung isang bulok na mansanas sa magagandang mansanas, time will come na yung bulok na mansanas is mag-i-spread siya. Meaning, magiging bulok rin yung katabi niya. And hanggang sa lumaki yung rat na yan or yung rotten apples na yan. So, by the time comes, yung rotten apple, dadami na siya. That is the principle or the theory of rotten apple. Now, once na nilagay mo yung isang rotten apple sa crates or sa basket ng magagandang apple, time will come na lahat ng apple doon is magiging rotten or masisira siya. That is rotten apple. 13. The word here is deviance. Pag sinabi natin deviance, these are behavior inconsistent with norms or values or ethics. Meaning, these are acts that is outside the normal. These are acts which is uh, not according to norms, or these are acts na wala siya sa normal. Ito yung mga acts na abnormal in terms of uh, ethics or values. So, yung corruption itself, that's not normal. That is not according to values. That is not according to ethics. So it is considered to be a deviance character or a deviance behavior. Every behavior that is out from normal or out from values or out from ethics, it is considered to be a deviance. Next, we have here the types of police deviance. First here is the police gratuity. Pag sinabi natin police gratuity, this is the receipt of free meals or service or discount. Meaning, yung tumatanggap ka ng, Sir, sige, urehan mo nga bayadan dahil ka nang, di balita ka, sagot min. Sila ka siya or, Sir, dati ko dito baka kahit mo, it's free for you. In exchange for, hindi naman sa kwan, pero uh, offering by the community or the person itself, that is policy gratuity. It is the receipt of free meals or service or discount. So, pag sumakay ka sa jeep, sir, ka agbayad. Parang yung mga ganun, it is a free gift. Second, chiseling. Pag sinabi naman natin chiseling, it is when a police officer quite blatant and about demanding free service. Ito yung kabaliktaran naman ng gratuity. Ikaw mismo na police officer, ikaw yung nagdi-demand sa free service. For example, hanak adi nga agbayad, police garod. Hanak nga agbayad, police garod. Di ba? Ada ti discount ko, police di ba? That is chiseling. Unlike sa police gratuity, you are not demanding. Sila na mismo yung nagbibigay. That's the difference between police gratuity and letter C is the police shakedown. Ito naman is police officer extort a business owner for protection money. Ito yung pumupunta sila, nag-extort sila ng protection money. So, pumunta sila sa business, nakita nila merong violation, sabi nila, agtid ka tikas ti tapno hanmi nga i-kwarelo kanya. Agtid ka tikas ti nga gatad tapno hanmi nga ipa-close da ito'y karinderya. Something like that. Letter D is police perjury. It is the leaving out certain pertinent pieces of information in order to fix a criminal prosecution. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na mostly common sa mga police officers natin, yung police perjury. They are tending to modify the facts of the case para lang lumakas yung kaso, or they are try to put something unreal or something na hindi totoo doon sa information or doon sa testimony nila para lang mas strengthen yung case. And that is police perjury. That is an example of police. Letter E is police brutality. It is defined as the excessive force. Yung nasabi natin kanina, it is synonymous to oppression. Yung nasobrahan yung ginagawa natin as a police officer. Nasobrahan yung pag-enforce nila sa, that is police brutality. Letter F here is the police profanity. Ito naman yung paggamit ng isang police officer sa mga obscene or profane language. Yung shit yung mga parang ganun, yung wala sa yung mga words na offensive or disgusting against immorality and decency. Yung mga ganong word, yung mga bullshit, yung mga ganon, yung putang ina, yung mga ganon. Sorry kung just for purposes of discussion yung mga yun, hindi ko sinasabi yun sa inyo. Yung mga ganong term, yung ah, bullshit, tanga, that's are considered to be obscene or profane language. Next, here is the misuse of confidential information. Pag sinabi nating misuse of confidential information, this this is normally involves the jeopardizing of ongoing investigation by leaking information to friends, relatives, public and press, or in some cases directly to criminal suspect or members of their gang. Sometimes, as a police officer, hindi nila naiiwasan to, yung masabi nila yung pieces of information about the investigation. For example, meron nangyaring crime and undergoing pa yung investigation. Umuwi si Mr. or si police officer, accidentally nasabi niya kay Mrs. yung uh, investigation or yung pieces of investigation or sa kanyang barkada or sa kanyang relatives or sometimes dahil gusto niyang sumikat or dahil gusto niyang sumikat sa TV, dumating yung press or yung media nag-interview sa kanila, nasabi niya yung information, yung confidential information which should not be. And the most dangerous part here is yung sometimes police officer sinasabi nila sa criminal suspect itself or sa mga kaibigan ng criminal suspect. Sa anong nangyari? Nag-jeopardize yung investigation or wala na. Kumbaga, wala nang visa yung investigation or wala nang halaga yung investigation. Bakit? Na na-publicize na or something, the information is already jeopardized. That is misuse of confidential information. Okay, let's go to what's the meaning of code. Code is in a system of rules and principle. So our law enforcement code of ethics is a one example of code. Second, principles. It is a rule of conduct. The code of ethics are basically rules that every police officer must follow, and I should say every police officer must follow the system of rules and must control their behavior from on in off duty. Oath. It is a formal and solemn commitment, usually asking God and other witnesses that you are sincerely intended to do what you say and promise you say is the absolutely truth. Pag sinabi nating formal, meaning it is written. You have done it within a specific authority or in a front of a specific authority. And take note, it is a solemn commitment. Hindi lang siya commitment, it is a solemn commitment. Meaning it is a deep commitment. That is an oath. Now, we will proceed on the sex on duty or duty related. First here is the traffic stops. Pag sinabi nating traffic stops, you as a police officer, you get closer to a female or a girl to get an information about her. So you are using your duty as a police officer to do this one. Second is fox hunting. Fox hunting naman is you are stopping college girl. this happens most specifically or mostly on the front or on some of the college schools. So police officer will go there and they will check for girls and they will they will be do the I will do anything routine. So sabi nila, gagawin ko yung lahat para sa'yo. Ask it and I will give it to you. Yun yung faksa. Third is the voyeurism or the peeping tom. Pag sinabi nating peeping tom, window peeping or interrupting lovers lane couples, meaning ito yung paninilip, di ba? So, nagkandak ka ng duty, narinig mo yung kakaibang sounds, anong ginawa mo? Uy, nakita mo na tawag. So, you try to peep on the window. Ayan, nakita mo? Ayan. You are now interrupting the lover's lane of couples. Yung sinasabi nating lover's lane dito is alam yun. Yan. Yun na yun. Four is victim recontacts. Ito yung consoling victims who have psychologically needs. For example, when the girl is a victim of, let's say, abuse, or he is a victim of rape. So, anong ginagawa mo? Oh, adi, may kapay dito ita ako. Kastoy, may kapay dito ita. Shakti bahala. O parang ganon. That is victim recontacts. Fifth, the opposite sex strip searches. This is touching or having sex with jail inmates. Take note that on every police station we have the lock-up jail facility. So you have there the you can train some of the suspect there. Yung mga suspect doon, pwede mo siyang doon sila ini habang iniintay mo yung transfer niya sa jail facilities. So now some of the police officer they are doing this during the strip search. They are touching some of the your private part of the girl or the opposite sex because here in the Philippines wala tayong sapat most especially girls, female police officer that will conduct strip searches on female inmates. So yung nangyari ngayon is strip search is meron yung nangyaring male to female, mga ganun. So nangyari ito. And the worst here is some of them, yan, the word sex, nakikipag-sex sila sa mga jail inmates para para kapalit ng yung kalayaan or something, yung favor. That is opposite sex strip. Now, last here is the sexual shakedown. You are letting the prostitute go if they perform sex acts, meaning you are letting prostitutes to do their job. You are letting prostitutes to continue. That is sexual shakedown. The problema, worstly, baka you are letting the prostitutes to perform their acts on your office itself. Diba? That is sexual shakedown. Now, before we proceed, ito na yung sagot ko kanina o ito na yung reason ko kung bakit sinabi ko na police cordillera is equal or katumpas niya yung Marine Corps epoxy. Accordingly kay Police General Eliasar, during the time his visit at Procor, ito yung isa sa statement niya. Police Cordillera ay kasintigas ng bakal, kasintibay ng bato at kasintatag ng isang blocking semento. So, pag napanood yung commercial kanina ni Mr. Ruben Padilla, niya, parehas yun sa kanyang sinabi. Kaya yun yung reason ko kung bakit ko sinabi yan. So, it is a part the of the break or a patalastas, but if you can see what I want you to know here is this one, that entire the Philippines police cordillera is the finest police among the uh, how many regions within the Philippines. We are admired by the other regions. Para mapatunayan ko sa inyo na kung ano yung sinasabi ko kanina, uh, I have here a documentation on the Police Regional Office Cordillera sa programa ng Tutok Erwin Tulfo. So, let's watch kung ano ba yung sinasabi ko kanina. Now, why did I let you watch that specific video? So, one reason here is since we are discussing about ethics, about morals, about values, and this video is very relevant or very related to our topic. So we can see here uh, we as an Igorot, we have the principle of inhayan, which means when you do something bad, it is not acceptable within the community. When you do something bad will also coming to you. That principle made us different from other regions. That principle made us to the top of the Philippine National Police. As you can observe as of today, many of our public officers, most especially in the field of law enforcement, uh, ngayon lang natin siguro mapansin na medyo we are at the peak of our profession. For example, our the Bucor is headed by General Bantag of if I'm not mistaken, he is from Sagada. Yeah, and of course we have here the chief of the Philippine National Police, who is Police General uh, Kaskulan, and he is an Igoro. So one of the very reason why I let you watch this is you must be proud that you we have this kind of police officer in Cordillera. I'm not saying that walang ganito sa ibang region. The thing here is mostly is andito sila sa Cordillera, ganun. Hindi ko sinasabi na lahat ng Cordilleran police ay discipline. Hindi ko sinasabi na lahat ng uh, Police Cordillera ay mabubuti. Lahat ng Police Cordillera ay magaganda. We cannot deny the fact that there are still some Police Cordilleras who are considered to be rotten apples, or who are considered to be deviants or deviant. There is no perfect. And the same true as doon sa ibang region. So, now we will proceed to the law enforcement code of ethics. If you can still remember, ito yung pinamemorize sa atin noong nakuha natin itong subject na police ethics. Ito yung as a law enforcement, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind. Yung ganun. And this law enforcement code of ethics is originally owned by the IACAP, or the International Association Chief of Police. So, sila yung nag-originate ng law enforcement code of ethics. So, if you can observe, Lahat ng law enforcement, mostly lahat ng law enforcement all around the world, ito yung ginagamit nila. USA, they are using this law enforcement code of ethics and some of the other nation. So let us try to examine each paragraph of the law enforcement code of ethics. Of course, here on the first paragraph, sabi niya dyan, as a law enforcement, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard life and property, to protect the innocent against deception, weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men, liberty, equality, and justice. Let's go to the first sentence. Sabi dyan, my fundamental duty. Pag sinabi nating fundamental duty, it means it is a moral obligation. Meaning, it is an important duty of a police officer. Kasi pag sinabi nating fundamental, it is base, it is a core, it is a central importance. It is the very fundamental, or it is the very first duty of a police officer. What is that? The first paragraph is talking about fundamental duty. The first paragraph emphasizes on the fundamental duty of police officer. We have here four. We have here first is safeguard mankind, I serve mankind, safeguard life and property, protect the whom, and then of course we have the word respect. Respect the what? Let's discuss that. Of course, serve mankind. Pag sinabi nating serve mankind, police officer are considered to be a public servant. Meaning, we are police officer are purely public servant. And take note, public servant or serve mankind. Kasi sometimes yung nangyari is serve some of the officials. It is wrong. It must be mankind. This video clips is one of the example of the many ways on how we serve the public as police officer. So let's watch it. Second duty is safeguard life and property. Take note, safeguard life and property. So hindi tayo munang hindi it should not be police officer will be the one first to take life, no? So we must be safe. They must safeguard life and property. So mostly yung nangyayari, sometimes civilian feel safe when there's a police officer. So pag natatakot sila most especially night time, and suddenly nakita nila na may police officer, sometimes they feel safe because at least meron police officer, I'm safe. We should let the people, or police officers should let the people feel that they are secure in the hands of the police officer. Hindi yung nararamdaman nila yung takot pagkasama nila yung police officer. No, dapat they are safe. They should feel safe pag andun yung police officer. They feel that their life is safe, including their property. Hindi yung, dati police inulin nyo na kita kayo. Di ba? It's like that. Third fundamental duty is here. Protect. Protect who? Protect the innocent against deception, weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder. Innocent against deception. Kasi yung mga innocent sila yung madaling na di-decept. Hindi yung ikaw na pulis mismo gabuta mo nga awan piman na mamuna. Apan mo hit di sikakit may nga aggressive, di ba? And weak against oppression or intimidation. Hindi yung porkit nangihina siya, uh, ikaw na mismo yung mag-force o ikaw mismo yung mag-apply ng force sa kanya, no? You must have, you must have the willingness or the service to protect the innocent or the weak against intimidation. And of course, the peaceful against violence or disorder. So, kaya nga sabi dyan, police officer are pacemakers. Hindi sila yung naunang nagkakandak ng gulo. And lastly, here is the word respect. Respect what? Take note of this. Constitutional rights of all men. Constitutional rights of all men. We must be aware of the constitutional rights of all men. Nakuha? So, dapat tayo mismo yung unang protector ng rights, constitutional rights. Pero sometimes, yun nga, medyo nagkaka-issue tayo kasi the Commission of Human Rights always true issue towards the police or the Philippine National Police. Okay, let's go to the second paragraph. To the second paragraph says that I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all. Maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn or ridicule. Develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of the others. Honest and truth indeed in both my personal and official life. I will be exemplary in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations of my organization. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential nature or is confided to me in my official capacity will be kept ever secret unless revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. The main point of the second paragraph here is this one. I will keep my private life as an example to all. Pag sinabi nating class na unsullied, meaning it should be clean. It should be unstained. Meaning, dapat walang pahid, kumbaga ganon. How can you be an example if you yourself is, your life as a police officer is, what do we call this one? Your life as a police officer is stained or unclean. Diba? Or undignified, kumbaga. Then you should keep your private life clean to set an example to the human race or to set an example to the community, di ba? So isipin mo ng maayos. For example, siya nga police officer nag-commit act iti kastoy o nagbabahayak, di ba? So nya iti baganda community, di ba? Depe lang nga police to pay kat agbabae di mabalingot kanya tayo. Something like that. That is the main point of the second paragraph. So, pag sinabi nating private life, take note, technically, police officers have no private life. Why? Police officer is considered as a public figure in terms of law enforcement. So, wala siyang personal life, wala siyang private life. So, lahat ng family niya, lahat ng person na nasa paligid niya is nakaragdag doon sa private life niya. And sabi nga natin kanina, yung private life na yun should be unsullied. That private life should be clean. That private life should be dignified. And it includes your family and all person around you. Kasi kahit dignified ka, kahit malinis kang mamuhay, kung yung mga tao sa paligid mo, your family, your friends is undignified, ano sasabihin sa'yo ng tao? Day tupay anak nakathan na nga magbagbagan, day tupay warakada nakathan na nga magbagbagan, di ba? Something like that. Take note of the word, the sayings that tell me your friends are and I will tell who you are. Kasi sometimes person, ah, kung ano yung ginagawa ng isang tao or yung mga taong malapit sa'yo, yun rin yung character mo. It implies who you are. Yun yung uh, pagkakaintindi ng iba or vision ng iba sa'yo. That is private. And yan, sabi nga natin kanina, yung unsullied, meaning spotless or clean. You keep your private life clean, not spoiled, and spotless. And as an example to all, of course, sabi ko kanina, police officers are considered a public image. Yung sabi natin kanina sa previous discussion natin, yung social contract theory, that police officer must display higher standards of ethical standards in terms of law enforcement. Bakit? You are model to the civilian in terms of law enforcement. You are model to the law enforcement to the community in terms of the obedience of law and other uh, other rules and regulation. That is that is the main point of paragraph. And how to do that? Is what? Make courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule. Develop self-restraint. Pag sinabi natin develop self-restraint, something related to self-control or self-discipline. We have to know to control ourselves. Para saan? And to constantly mindful of the welfare of others, the selfless love of people. We are we are setting aside our welfare for the welfare of others. Yung nagsasakripisyo tayo para sa iba. That is constantly mindful of the welfare of the others. That is how to keep your private life unsullied, or that is how to keep your private life as an example to all. And then of course, honest in personal and official life. So, hindi yung porket uh, nasa duty ka, doon ka lang nagiging honest. Hindi yung porket naka-uniform ka, doon ka lang nagiging honest. Take note, including personal life. Sabi niya dito, honest indeed in both my personal and official life. So meaning, you as a police officer, you must uh, be honest in all aspect of your life. That's one of how to keep your private life as an example to all. And of course, yeah, you should be, as a police officer, be exemplary in obeying the law and regulation. Meaning, pag sinabi natin exemplary, set an example in obeying the laws of the land and the regulations. Yeah? How can you enforce the law if you yourself violate the law? How can you say that, oy, da kayo, surutan nyo data. Nung si kamis mo nga, agim implement AJ law, ano nga susurutan? Anyat ibagan ti tao nga eh. Di ba? Si kanto pa yan mo surutan. Di ba? Just like that. Confidentiality. Whatever I see or hear of a confidential in nature will be kept ever secret unless a revelation is necessary in the performance of my duty. Pag sinabi natin confidentiality, you must keep information that is confidential. Han mo ibagabagab, han mo apan mo i-chismis. Uray pay kan bakat mo uray kan chief mo. If in case uray jay kapsan mo. Bakit? It will endanger the operation itself, or it will jeopardize the investigation itself. Unless, take note of the word unless necessary in the performance of my duty. For example, on the you are testifying on the court. So, that is one example of the unless necessary. The third paragraph is here. I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudices, animosities, or friendship to influence my decision, with no compromise of crime and with relentless prosecution of criminals. I will enforce the law courteously, appropriately, and without fear or favor, malice or ill, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities in return. The third paragraph talks about on how a person should render his duty, or how a person should decide, or how a person should enforce the law. That's the very point of the third paragraph, that he must work professionally. He must uh, he must work without interference. Meaning, hindi niya tinitignan yung feelings niya, yung mga friendship, yung mga ganun. Hindi siya nagpapadala, kumbaga, hindi siya let ng factor to change his decision, to influence his decision, or to influence his duty as a police officer. And of course, in enforcing the law, he must enforce it cautiously, without malice or ill, of course. And of course, never employ unnecessary force or violence. Third paragraph want to say that a police officer should act on this way. A police officer should decide on this way. A police officer should enforce the law on this way. That's it. The fourth paragraph says, I will recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith and accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. I will never engage in acts of corruption, bribery, nor I will condone such acts by other police officers. I will cooperate with all legally authorized agencies and the representatives in the pursuit of justice. The fourth paragraph implies your rule on the police organization. It implies the importance of your cooperation on the police office. Take note that Philippine National Police is considered as a symbol of public faith and a public trust. So you as a police officer must know that one mistake can change that uh, belief. One mistake can compromise your office as a public faith and public trust. That is the fourth paragraph. Next, the fifth paragraph, or the last paragraph. I know that I alone is responsible for my own standard or professional performance and will take every reasonable opportunity to enhance and improve my level of knowledge and competence. I will constantly strive to achieve these goals and objectives, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement. The last paragraph is talking about yourself. It talks about your self improvement, or it implies that you as a police officer is responsible for your own improvement. You as a police officer is responsible for your own opportunity. You as a police officer is responsible for your own action. You as a police officer is responsible for your own decision. You as a police officer uh, is responsible for your own action. That is the fifth paragraph. And take note of the last phrase, dedicating myself before God into my chosen profession. It shows how that a police officer must respect. Police officer must uh, give his commitment, deep commitment before God into his chosen profession, which is the law enforcement. And you can observe that every aspect of the police officer, every aspect on the rules, ethics, and other knowledge of within the Philippine National Police or within the law enforcement. Hindi nawawala dyan yung God, word na God. Hindi nawawala dyan yung uh, word na divine providence. Hindi dyan nawawala dyan yung word na creator. Hindi dyan nawawala yung word na supreme authority. That's how uh, police officer uh, believe where ethics came from. Dyan nanggaling yung belief or naniniwala yung yung law enforcement that God is everything in the inside the Philippine National Police. God will provide everything in the Philippine National Police. God will uh, be guiding the Philippine National Police. God will be always with the Philippine National Police. That is how important our spiritual life is on the law enforcement. Now, we have here the 11 canons of police ethics. First here is the police responsibility. Pag sinabi nating primordial, it is a primary. It is fundamental. Something like that. It is the first police responsibility. And yung primordial police responsibility na yun is it talks about the prevention of crime. That is basic duty of a police officer. Diba? How can you uh, complete or how can you do the task or your fundamental duty, which is to serve the mankind, to protect the innocent against deception, the others. First here is, of course, prevent crime. Para malaman nila na safe sila, para ma-protect mo yung community, you must have to prevent crime from happening. Second, the limitation of police authority. Take note that every authority has the limitation. The law defines police authority. Therefore, the law itself limits police authority. The police officer should know the limitation of his power. The police officer should know where and how should he perform or how should he do or how should he where should he use his police authority. That is under the law. Third, knowledge of law and other responsibility. Excuse me. So, under the knowledge of the law and other responsibility, you as a police officer, you should know the law. You should know or you should be knowledgeable of the law. Take note that the very basic weapon or the powerful weapon of the police officer in the law enforcement is this one, the knowledge of law. How can you perform the law if you don't know the law? Diba? And of course the other responsibility. Next, use of proper means to obtain proper ends. Number 4 states that a police officer should always utilize legal means in obtaining a specific objectives. He should act according to law in order to obtain something. For example, on investigation, he should uh, he should uh, observe protocol. He should observe uh, law. He should observe orders. He should observe instruction so that by the end, yung kanyang nakuhang evidence will be admissible. Di ba? Kasi once na mali yung process ng pagkuha mo sa information or process mo sa pagkuha ng evidence, that is considered to be null and void. Can you remember the doctrine of the poisonous tree? So, pag namunga yung poisonous tree, meaning it is also poisonous. That is what the number 4 wants us to say. 5. Cooperation with public officials. Take note that some of the public officials are considered to be a local chief executive. For example, the governor, the mayor. So you as a police officer, you should cooperate with the public officials because they have the authority. They represent the government itself. They are higher. They are they are your superior in terms of authority. 6. Proper conduct and behavior. Pag sinabi nating proper conduct and behavior, the policeman should mindful of his special identification as public and upholder of the law. The community and the service require that the policeman leads life of decent and honorable person. Following the career of police officer gives no special prerequisites. Meaning, you as a police officer, you should work or you should live in a decent life. Hindi ikaw yung nauuna na mag-commit ng something kalokohan, like that. No? So, if you can remember, sabi nila, mostly, sabi nila, di ba, ang police, mga babaero, hindi natin alam. But that's not true, of course. The thing here is, marami lang siguro, or there are some cases na ganito na yung nangyari, kaya nasabi nila yun. So you as a police officer, you must act decently. Kasi hindi lang ikaw yung masisira dyan. It includes the organization itself. It includes your companion itself. Next, the conduct and arresting law violator. Take note that the police officer should arrest law violator in accordance with the law. Police officers should observe his rights. Police officers should observe the process which we call due process. The person police officer should handle the violator in a way that it is acceptable in the parlance of the law or on the aspect of law. 7. Conduct towards the community. Ibig sabihin, this is your a police officer, in short, should be mindful of his responsibility towards the community. Take note that police officer deals with individual among the community. So meaning, kung ano nakikita ng community sa'yo, it implies the government, it implies the police organization. So you as a police officer, you must have to be careful with your conduct within the community. Kasi once na nagloko ka dyan, ang sabihin ng community, ganito yung mga police, diba? Tulad ng example natin kanina, nagloko ka lang ng babae ka, sabi na nila, uy, babaero amin ti police. Something like that. Next, firmness in refusing gift or favors. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina. A police officer should refuse on accepting gift or favors. And take note andyan yung word na firmness. Which means na dapat talagang i-refuse or dapat talagang i-refuse natin yung gift or favors para sa law enforcement. Bakit? Yung example natin kanina, di ba? Na kahit sabi natin, oh, di ba, Lita, awan na siguro ang abektaran, but hindi natin namamalayan na sometimes nagkikreate yun ng factor for our future. Okay, then next here is the impartial presentation of evidence. Meaning, you as a police officer should observe the equal presentation of evidence. You should be fair in the presentation of evidence. Kung ano yung na-find out mo din, yun yung i-present mo. Hindi yung baguhin mo pa para lang ma-convict yung isang tao. Or baguhin mo pa para lang ma-acquit yung isang tao. Last, of course, is the attitude towards profession. Take note that a police officer should do his very best in performing his duty as a public trust and of course as a public servant. He must strive to make every aspect of his duty the best as possible. That is attitude to professionalism. Now, let's proceed to the 10 professional police principles. So, pag makikita natin dito mamaya, parang mas the same siya doon sa professional 10 professional the 11 canons of police ethics. It's almost the same. I think here is yung canon kasi, yung canon of police ethics, it is more broader. Yung 10 professional police principle it is more specified, or it is more specific in nature. So first here is prevention of crime and disorder. So yun nga, yung sabi natin kanina, this is one of the fundamental duty of a police officer, to prevent the crime and disorder. And how can a police officer prevent crime and disorder? That's why they have the patrol. Bakit? To deter crime. Sabi nga nila, prevention is better than crime. Kasi once na nag-commit yung crime, it will sometimes be graver. So it is better to prevent than to cure. So as a police officer, they will do everything to prevent crime. Diba? Pero hindi naman ibig sabihin natin na today talagang walang crime. No. They will try their effort. Kaya nga andyan yung patrol, diba? Andyan yung mga educational drive to prevent crime na nangyari, diba? So the effort of the police officer in terms of crime prevention is makikita naman natin siya as of now, diba? So nakikita natin maraming nagpapatrol, maraming information drive, marami yung information materials na binibigay, yung mga pinupost to prevent crime from happening. Next here is cooperation of the community. Take note that accordingly, community is considered as the police of the police. Why? Because community is receiving directly the police service. So they are the one who will give uh, they are the one who will grade, kumbaga sila yung mag-evaluate sa performance ng police officers. So without the community, the police will not be successful. Without the cooperation of the community, law enforcement is useless. Why? Di ba? Mai-enforce mo pa bati law, ijay tao nga handa kang napatpat yan. Ma-enforce mo ba pati law, iti tao nga awan pakialam na kanyam, di ba? That is why it is important to maintain, or it is important to build rapport towards the community. Third here is unreasonable force reduce community cooperation. Yes, it's true. Once na gumawa tayo ng unreasonable force na nakita yung community yan, mawawala yung trust nila sa police officer. Diba? Fourth, use of reasonable force when persuasion is not sufficient. Yung number 14 na tukoy nyo dito is as a police officer, force or reasonable force should be considered as a last resort. And take note, it is reasonable, meaning it is lawful, meaning it is according to law. Hindi yung sobra, hindi yung abuse. Yan, yung sakto lang na force. And you will use it only when you do everything na pwede mong gawin para i-convince yung isang tao, para sabihin yung isang tao pero walang nangyari. So you can now use reasonable force. For example, a police officer is conducting patrol, and then may nakita siya na suspicious person, and then sabi niya, humarap ka. In-explain niya sa tao na ganito, pero yung tao is nagre-resist siya, or resistable yung tao, nagre-resist yung tao. Anong gagawin ng police? He can perform reasonable force. Now, one of the hottest issue na nangyari nung last during the quarantine is the case of Ragos, yung retired army na pinarent ng police. It is a big debate, or it is a big discussion in terms of reasonable ba yung force, di ba, na ginawa ng police. Yan. So, reasonable ba yung force na ginawa ng police? That's the question. So if you want to watch the case, you can watch it. And I hope na karamihan sa inyo is napanood yung news na yan. Ragos case. Yan. Fifth is the impartial enforcement of law. Okay? Take note, impartial enforcement of law. Hindi yung selective enforcement na na-discuss natin kanina. Meaning, you enforce the law, whatever the status of life of the one whom you will enforcing the law. I-enforce mo yung law sa isang tao na hindi tinitignan kung sino siya. I-enforce mo yung law sa isang tao na hindi mo tinitignan kung anong meron siya. I-enforce mo yung law sa isang tao na hindi mo tinitignan kung anong relationship yung meron kayo. Di ba? Hindi yung porket mayaman siya is, sige, pagbigyan mo. Pero yung mahirap, no? Di ba? Hindi porket mataas na officer siya, you let him go. Di ba? Hindi porket barkada mo siya is pagbigyan mo na. No. You should enforce the law fairly. That is impartial enforcement of the law. Third, the community are the police. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. This is how important uh, the relationship of police and the community. This is the importance of building a rapport, good rapport within the community and the police officer. Sabi kasing police community kasi, sabi natin kanina, sila yung mag-a-assess kung police officer ba ay nagpo-perform ng well, they are performing well, diba? Are they doing their job? Because simply the community are the one who receive the police service. Sila yung mag-i-experience sa police service. So, sila yung magsabi kung, oy, maganda yung police na to. Oy, medyo yung police na to. Oy, masama yung police na to. That is the rule of the community. Diba? They are considered to be community or the police. And take note that from the very first, they are the source of your power. They are considered to be the source of your authority. And so that is. Number 7 is the police should not usurp judicial power. Pag sinabi natin usurp, it means absorb. And yung tinutukoy dito is judicial powers, meaning it is the duty of the court. Ang nangyari kasi minsan, police officers conduct street courts, meaning they tend to solve the case themselves. They try to solve the crime themselves. Yan. So, sometimes yung iba, pag ayusin nyo dito, tatapno ka. Di ba? Police officers are now serving as mediator of the case. So, he will try to, they are trying to solve the case themselves, which is not supposedly. Diba? According to the principle of police ethics, they should not. Pero yung nangyari ngayon, maraming case. Mas especially sa mga traffic section, ganon, yung nagkabanggaan. Yung gagawin ng police dyan is, after investigation, he will try to settle the case within the two party. So, pagtungtungan na pa yung duwa nga party, hanggang nga agree. So that that specific case will not be filed on the court. Bakit sometimes ginagawa ng mga pulis na yan? That is to avoid clogging of cases on the court, di ba? And it is good sometimes, di ba? Kasi nababawasan yung backlog within the court. Yung problema lang is sometimes the due process is violated, or sometimes medyo hindi na investigate ng maayos, or hindi na trial yung ng maayos yung case. Kaya yan. 8, the reduction of crime or disorder. Sabi natin kanina, one of the primary rule of the police officer is to prevent crime. And pag hindi nila na-prevent yung crime, of course, the next thing to do is to reduce that crime, meaning to suppress or bawasan nila yung crime. Di ba? So, what they will do? They will do reactive enforcement of law or reactive investigation para at least pag-aralan nila yung crime, and they will know how to combat that specific crime. Okay, second to the last here is the rules of engagement or impartially observed. Pag sinabi natin kasing rules of engagement, these are this is a code or this is instruction or rules in terms of police operation. Meaning, these are a set of guidelines to be observed in terms of police operation, most especially on operation that includes the use of firearm. So, yung sinasabi nito sa rules of engagement, kailan ba pwedeng magpaputok ang isang pulis? Di ba? As a police officer, di ba? You should use force, di ba? If it is needed. Sa paggamit ng baril, dapat you know where to use that firearm. You know when to use that firearm. Di ba? Hindi yung ah, ah, kalabit ka ng kalabit, di ba? Ganon. And as a police officer, you know when to fire. You know, you know where to fire. Dapat sa police officer, alam mo kung kailan ka magpaputok. Kailan? Pag safe, di ba? Di ba? Make sure that safety first before paputok, di ba? Ah, siguraduhin mo munang safe bago ka magpaputok. Pero yung mga manlikot yung pag-isip dyan, hindi ko na lang alam sa inyo. Yeah. Next, the police discretion. Pag sinabi natin police discretion, it is the capacity or the ability of the police to react to a specific situation. And mostly, police discretion comes as a split of seconds. For example, one here is specific situation here is you are conducting a raid and pagpasok mo pa lang sa pinto, nakatutok na yung ah, nakatutok na yung baril ng suspect sa'yo. Anong gagawin mo? That is discretion. Whether to fire back or just let it that way. Diba? That is police discretion. Like your capacity or your adaptability to a specific situation. Let's go to the police core values. First here is the love of God. Yan, na-discuss natin yan kanina. Respect for authority, of course. Love of God because we believe, police officer believes that God is the supreme authority. Yan. God will always be with them. Diba? And it is their foundation. Second, here is the respect for authority. Respect for authority includes the government itself, of course, the elders, the community, and the others. Fourth here is respect for women, because women is considered as one of the minority groups, or what, which is one of the vulnerable persons or people. Fourth here is the respect for the sanctity of marriage. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina, yung chastity. Fifth here is stewardship over material things. Yung you must, as a police officer, must know that yung mga, most especially yung mga binigay sa'yo na gamit ng public, you must know how to handle them. You must care for them. Ganun. And then, sixth is responsible dominion, and is truthfulness. Now let's go to the police profession conduct. First here is our commitment to the democracy. Yeah. PNP members should commit themselves to the democratic way of life. Diba? You know, we all know that our government is a democratic country. So we as a police officer, you as a PNP should commit themselves to the democratic way of life. They should respect, of course, the democracy. Next here is the commitment to the public interest. Sabi natin kanina, PNP is considered to be a public servant. Therefore, you should respect, or you should know the public interest. Diba? Public officer should have the selfless love. They have should the service which police officer will always set aside their welfare for the welfare of the public. Yung isa-sacrifice nila yung interest nila para sa publiko. Third is non-partisanship. Pag sinabi natin non-partisanship, a police officer, pagpasok niya sa serbisyo, dapat kahit anuman yung political advocacy niya or political ideology niya, he will serve, uh, he will provide service, di ba? Hindi yung porket dilawan ka is hindi mo na pinapakialaman yung mga DDSS, di ba? PNP members should always consider everyone, regardless of who they are. He should provide service regardless of their party affiliation. That is non-partisanship. Fourth here will be the physical fitness and health. Take note that police works required this specific kind of uh, body. Police officer should physically fit and he should be healthy. Diba? How can a police officer can render duty to a profession or to a service which requires physical fitness and health, di ba? Paano niya mahabol yung criminal if in case, di ba? Paano niya mabubuhat yung mga tao if in case of emergency? Yung mga ganun. Next, fifth will be secrecy discipline. Ito yung sinasabi natin na confidentiality. Meaning, a police officer should keep every information that is confidential in nature from disclosure. Meaning, this is to avoid jeopardizing the information. That is secrecy discipline, confidentiality. Next here is non-solicitation of patronage, meaning you will improve yourself, you will put yourself to the top without uh, uh, without uh, without the factor of the other people. For example, na-promote ta barkadak ni chief, di ba? Something like that. Na-promote ta kakal ko ni mayor, something like that. A police officer should improve himself or improve his career through self-improvement, meaning by his own effort. Di ba? Hindi yung na-promote ka, umaangat yung career mo as police officer dahil sa pera or dahil sa, I should say, dahil sa relationship mo sa mga tao sa taas or dahil sa relationship mo sa officers mo, something like that. Proper care and use of public property. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na we should observe as a police officer, they should observe that everything na gamit nila is public property, including the firearm, the uniform, the police car, the office. Therefore, they should care of it because it is a public property. Next, respect of human rights. This is one of the hottest issue as of now because mostly of the police officer is accused of violation of human rights. That's why andyan yung CHR natin or yung Commission of Human Rights natin. Number 10, devotion to duty. A police officer should devote himself to his duty. Hindi yung nagjo-duty siya dahil sa sahod, hindi yung nagjo-duty siya dahil sa reward, no? He should dedicate himself with enthusiasm to fulfill his duty. Hindi yung napipilitan siya or something dahil ganito, dahil ganon, but he just want to serve. Next, conservation of natural resources. Take note that according to the PNP, police officer must makakalikasan. Yan. Makakalikasan meaning we should protect our natural environment. We should observe ecological balance and ecological or environmental health. 12, of course, discipline. Police officers should conduct themselves at all times in keeping with the rules and regulations of the organization. Meaning, they should obey always yung organization, yung rules and regulation of organization. Why? Bakit kaya kailangan nilang mag-obey? Simply because rules and regulation of the organization will is reminding them or rules and regulation is a guideline on how to be a police officer. 13, loyalty. Yan. Tulad ng nasabi natin kanina, we should be loyal to our constitution, to the organization itself, yung PNP, yung Philippine National Police. Ganun. 14 is obedience to superior. Take note that as an inferior officer, you should observe and respect your superior officers. You should obey lawful orders and be courteous to your superior officers. Okay? And you should also observe the chain of command. Pag sinabi natin chain of command, yung the hierarchy of every command. 15, command responsibility. This is applicable to those who who is superior officers, meaning you as a superior officers, you as a supervisor, you should have this supervision and control and direction to your personnel, and you should be responsible to their own action, meaning pag nagkamali yung tao mo, you should be responsible to it. That is command responsibility. One example of this is yung sinabi natin kanina example na yung case of Police Officer Mendoza na namaril ng tao doon sa Midtown Bar. So anong ginawa? During the time, the Chief of Police of La Trinidad Municipal Police Station is I think is Police Officer Sir Alatog. And anong ginawa? Ni-relieve si Sir Alatog because of that, because he is responsible of the action of his subordinates. Now, let's go to the police ethical standards. Morality, yan. A police officer should display high standard of morality and decency. tulad ng nasabi natin kanina, he should be keep his private life unsullied, meaning he should keep his private life clean in order to set good example towards public. Second, judicious use of authority. Yeah. Meaning legal use of authority. Legal use of authority or lawful use of authority. Meaning you exercise your authority, your power within uh, the law, or you perform your duty properly. Yeah. Next, integrity. Pag sinabing integrity, not allowing themselves to be victims of corruption and dishonest practices, meaning the state of being honest, the state of being firmness from corrupt practices. Yeah. That is integrity. Justice. Yan. Ito yung respect of rights of others so that they can fulfill their duties and exercise their rights. That is justice. Humility. Remember that police officers are considered as public servant. Therefore, they are considered to be must they are considered to be inferior to people. Their master should be the community. Hindi yung kabaligtaran na sila yung sinaserve ng community. They will be the one who will serve the community because that is the nature of police, and that's the nature of public servant. Yeah. That is being community. Six is of course orderliness. Orderliness is the following of logical procedures in accomplishing task, meaning you are all the possible action, all the possible things that would happen is already fixed or it is already set in order that a police officer can minimize waste in the use of time, money, and of course effort. Next, perseverance. Pag sinabi nating perseverance, using of legitimate means to achieve goal. Even we are facing internal or external difficulties. So perseverance is something synonymous to the word determination. Perseverance is legitimate means, meaning it is a lawful means in acquiring a goal, uh, even there is a hindrance within that specific goal. Now let's go to the customs and traditions. Pag sinabi natin custom, these are established social practices carried by tradition that have obtained in the force of law. It is a belief of a specific group of person. It is a practice of a specific group of person. And pag sanabi naman nating tradition, these are bodies of belief. It is considered as unwritten law. These are belief of a specific person. Yeah. Courtesy, it is the manifest or expression of consideration and respect for others. Meaning, courtesy, ito yung pag-express natin na we are considerate or we respect others. So in the field of law enforcement or in police officers job, they have this courtesy, meaning they are considerate to their companions or they respect their companions. So fourth here is ceremony. Pag sinabi nating ceremony, it is a formal act or it is a formal event established by custom or it is established by law. How about social decorum? Pag sinabi naman natin social decorum, these are sets of norms and standard practiced by members during social and other functions. These are set of standards or set of norms or set of action that should be done by the members when there is social gathering or there is the what you call function that is happening or that is there is a social event that is happening. So that is social decorum. Now, let's go to the police courtesy. Salute. Salute is considered as the highest form of respect in the inside the Philippine National Police. Therefore, a police officer should render this salute, of course, to the to his superior officers, and of course, most especially to the flag of the Philippine Republic. Yeah. Second here is salute to the national color and standards. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina that a police officer must respect the Philippine national flag. Yung tinutukoy dito ng national colors is the national flag itself. Therefore, pag in raising the flag and lowering the flag, they should render salute as a sign of respect to our Philippine. Three is the title and address. Yan. So, ito yung mostly na common. So, syempre, pag mas mataas yung rank niya sa'yo, you should address them and salute them and address them as sir or ma'am. Diba? So, pag mas mataas siya, oh, sir. Fourth, courtesy call. So, courtesy call, meron siyang different kinds. So, first here is courtesy call for new assigned or appointed member. So, meaning, bago ka doon sa isang place or bago ka doon sa isang organization, you must have to have this courtesy call. To whom? To some of the highest officials. For example, the newly appointed proctor or head of the proctor, he must have to have the courtesy call to the different government officials. For example, governors, the congressmen, like that. Next, New Year's call. This happens when the a new year or a new year will come. Promotion call. Of course, promotion call. When someone is promoted, yan, dapat meron silang ganito. Exit call, ito yung nangyari when a person or in a specific group of officers uh, will be assigned or will be reassigned somewhere other than their original assignment. For example, yung nalipat sa Mindanao, dapat meron siyang exit call sa uh, kung saan siya dating naka-assign. Yan. And mostly, pinapractice din naman natin to. Hindi nyo lang kasi naranasan ngayon kasi sa ngayon, sa school lang kayo. But during our time, during our internship, every office na pag umalis kami, nagkakaroon kami ng ganito, exit call. So, anong ginagawa namin? No, we will go and we will say thank you. We will agpakada ang kami agpasalamat, of course, ganyan. And of course, we will eat, of course. Yan, exit call. Next will be courtesy for the post. Yan, pag yung tao naka-assign siya sa isang post, yan. Pag no lumabas ka, diba? Sometimes you will, some of the police officer will show courtesy towards them. Yan. Rank its own privilege. Now let's go to the police customs and ceremonies. Flag raising ceremonies, alam niyo na yan. And then of course, the lowering of the flag. Hindi basta-basta yan. Pag flag raising ceremony and flag lowering ceremony, dapat andyan pa rin yung respect towards the Philippine national flag. Half mast. Pag sinabi nating half mast, ito yung we are raising the flag in a half position, meaning hindi siya full hanggang sa doon sa top ng uh, uh, pole. Dapat doon lang siya sa half. Why? This is to symbolize or to signify the grief of or the mourning of the Philippine National Police pag merong nawalang kabaro. Yan. Funerals and honor services, ito yung meron pang, hindi ko alam kung ilan yung gunshot ay yung gun salute. Yan. Next here is ceremony tender to retirees. So we have yan, especially pag yung mga retirees is general, merong ceremony yan. 6 is honor ceremony and of course the turnover ceremony. And then we have also the wedding ceremony for the member of Philippine National Police, and of course the anniversary, meaning anniversary of the different Philippine National Police unit. Now let's go to the police custom on social proper attire. Sinabi natin proper attire. A police officer should observe on wearing proper attires. Take note that tulad ng nasabi natin kanina, uniform or uniform personnel or police officer signifies the working power of the government. So the uniform itself must be respected. Next, table manners. Pag kumakain, yan. Dapat, as a police officer, you should observe this one. Social graces. Uniform appearance, yeah. And then manners of walking. Take note, this is important, the manner of walking. Dapat you walk as a police officer, hindi yung magnakat kasla ka nga nalastog, di ba? Dahil naka-ragtipay mo, tunadakit din, no? Magnakalangkat, nalastog ka, di ba? That is the importance of checking our manner of. Now, what are the other police customs? Of course, we have the visiting the sick. Pag may nagkasakit na member of the Philippine National Police, meron silang ganito, they will going to visit the sick. Pag merong na-injured during the operation, meron silang ganito, visiting the sick. 2. Survivor assistance to the care of deceased member. Pag sinabi natin survivor assistance, yung tulad ng nasabi natin kanina, pag yung isang tao is nakasurvive siya sa isang operation, yan, meron silang custom para dyan. And then of course, to the heirs of deceased member, yung mga namatayan. Of course, we have also visiting the religious leaders and athletics, and of course, the happy hour. Let's go to the yeah. This is the tradition of the Philippine National Police. Spiritual belief, the valor, the patriotism, the discipline, gentlemanliness, or it is in other words, it is the courteousness, and word of honor, duty, loyalty, and camaraderie. Na-discuss na natin yan kanina on the very first part of our discussion. Okay. Next, we will be watching one of the song which is related to the duty of a police officer.